Welcome to the Aspire Beast Council. Um, I am Charles Clark, your real estate investment broker. I am with Raise the Standard Real Estate and Next Home My Way. Got to give a shout out to them. Um, Next Home My Way. We're in their studio uh, across the street from the airport. Um, Big shout outs to Angel, our broker owner, who has created a social media studio inside of our brokerage where I'm allowed to record this live webinar or this lunch and learn of our. Um, so big shout outs to them. Thank you so much for allowing us to do this in the studio. Any agents out there that are looking for a brokerage that is in the new age and offering a social media brokerage, a social media room where you can record um, your social media posts, your webinars, your podcasts. All those things are offered here at Next Home My Way. So big shout outs to Angel and the team, Jose and Carlos. Thank you guys so much. So now get into the Aspire Beast Council. So Aspire Beast Council is a calculator that I created based off the Aspire Mastermind group that we created. I'm actually gonna bring that up. So Aspire Mastermind, we have an Aspire Mastermind group that was created to help investors pretty much come together in southeastern Wisconsin and Milwaukee. Sorry about that. Just want to show you guys what this is. So this is Aspire Mastermind Group. We meet once a month, the second Wednesday of every month. That is coming up. First meeting is free. We charge $29 to be a part of that, and that's our baseline. So I'll show you a little bit about that. But yeah, we have a mastermind meetup group. So we have $29 or $2.99 a month. You get access to our monthly community meetups, participate in general discussion that's on school. We do have a Facebook, but this stuff goes into a little bit detail. And then we have the premium, where you start getting access to our education and things of that nature. Obviously we got VIP where you get access to deals and other things of that nature, and all the education and all the other good things that come with it. Also want to just show, we have our classroom, and this is, I would say, the big one is our Aspire Mastermind. This is kind of what comes with the calculator. So if you are interested in this calculator that I'm going to be going over, this is where you would get access to that as well. And the calculator just basically help you run your deals, and teaming this up with the 90-day program will, broaden your horizons of being an investor. So there's 3 results that you will get out of the 90-day program. And that is, you will either have a business plan to know how to run your investment, your first one, and how to close it. The only reason why you wasn't able to close it is because you were unable to get pre-approved or you didn't have the down payment. The second result is you got an accepted offer, because the way the program works, you literally go through the process of what you would need to do, from finding a lender, finding an agent, finding a property, running the analysis, and creating your buy box and putting those things all together to get a deal under contract. And then the last result is that you actually close, because typical closings, if you do hard money, you can close in 14 days. If you use a conventional FHA loan, you're probably closing in 30 to 45 days. So if you get it right underway with the program, that's a possibility that you can already be closed. And part of the program goes over what you do after your closing, right? Because that's the problem with most situations with investors. They do everything up to the closing, and then you're left to your own devices. So 90-day program is with Aspire Mastermind Group. We have our monthly meetings, and then what I'm going to be going over with you guys, the calculator, which is going to do everything else. So Aspire Beast Council, the concept that I kind of came up with that was part of our one of our leadership, Nathan. He kind of created this, and I kind of just ran with it. So there's levels to the Aspire Mastermind Group. We have lions, bulls, dragons, and the ultimate one is Phoenix. So lions is basically, you're starting off. There's 3 levels to each level. Phoenix is the only one that has 1 level. And so the calculator kind of goes through that of depending on the type of deals you're trying to look at. As it gets more complicated, the levels go up. But through our Aspire Mastermind group, going through those levels, you have to have hit certain points to get through each level. And so I kind of built the calculator around that, and just being able to allow you to measure the things that you're trying to accomplish from the standpoint of the deals that you're doing, right? As the deals get more complicated, you need more information, you need more data, and that's how the calculator kind of gauges you on it. So, so the real premise of why we're doing this is because, as me being a real estate investment broker, my motto is that I don't help you buy a property, I help you build a business. It just so happens to be a property, right? Because once you buy a duplex, you didn't really buy a property, you bought a business. It's just a property, right? Because it's cash. If it has tenants in it, you're bringing in cash flow. So you're not just buying a regular property. And I think sometimes that's the problem with most investors have when they I'm gonna give a knock. Well, when you use a regular agent, right? A regular agent is just helping you buy a property, but that's not the case when you're buying investment properties. You're buying a business, and if you don't go into that transaction with that mindset, you're going to be losing. And one of the things that we kind of try to teach in that program, and what I try to teach, if you ever try to use me or and get into my consulting, is that nothing should be based on that one transaction, because you're not just trying to do one transaction, right? So each transaction should lead into something else. You should be trying to build a portfolio, and that portfolio should be comprised of, the properties that you're looking to do to try to live the life you want to live. So one of the things I always try to tell the people is that, you use these real estate properties to live the life you want to live, right? If you want a new car, hey, let's get a duplex. Let that duplex pay for that car. If you want to go on 4 more vacations, well, let's go get a 4-unit and let the 4-unit pay for your vacation. If you do want that mini mansion, right? You want that nice house. Well, let's go buy a 6-unit to let that 6-unit pays for your house, right? Because a house, I hate when people don't like when I say this, but buying a home is a liability, because every month you have to pay money out. And someone can say, well, I got equity in my home, so it's an asset. Show me the money. Do something with it, right? There's only 3 ways you can do something with equity. You either sell the home, which you don't want to do. You either do a HELOC, which is a credit card on your property, but you now have access to that equity, or a cash out refi. So until you do one of those 3 things, your equity means nothing. It's just paper money. And it, just like the market, it goes up and down. So one day it can be worth, you got 50,000 worth of equity, and then the market shifts and now you got 30,000. So what did that equity do for you? So getting into this calculator and doing more things like that, and being part of Aspire, we help try to teach individuals that by using money, as I always try to say, is money is not real, right? So that equity, it's not real until you actually do something with it. Until you physically have access to it, it's not real. So money's not real, right? And if you're not leveraging it, your equity is actually getting eaten in by inflation. So so with that being said, that was just kind of an introductory of everything, and what we're all doing, why we're doing this, and why I'm doing this, of giving people access. Is I want to help educate investors. I kind of look at it as I'm educating my future clients, right? If you can run analysis better, you're going to be a better investor. And ultimately, what I kind of look at, and even if you don't use me, my motto with my company is called Raise the Standard. And my motto with that is if the deal doesn't make my life better, my family life better, my clients and the community, I don't want to do that deal. So my hope with educating more people out there who wants to be investors is that they're going to improve our community, right? They're going to actually run the numbers correctly so they can actually add value to that property so they can pull that money out and go to get the next deal, because that's the issue that we have, right? There's a recent article out where two investors, that out-of-state investors, have been absentee landlords, and now the city is suing them. I hate that, right? Because 50% of my clients are out-of-state investors, and I would hate to be associated with individuals that came into my market and took advantage of it and did not provide good services and good homes for the people that live here. So I want to make sure that I'm doing my part by educating more people on making sure how they can get into good deals, right? Because sometimes people get into deals that they didn't truly understand, and hopefully using this calculator will accomplish that. All right, let's get into the nitty gritty. So this is the Aspire Beast Council. Again, you only would have access to this if you sign up for the Aspire Mastermind 90-day program, or you sign up to my RTS Execution Lab. And I'll go into a little bit of that later, but pretty much this calculator is off limits until you do one of those things. All right. So because I am a licensed real estate licensed real estate broker in the state of Wisconsin, I don't like to use actual deals that are on the market, because I don't want agents to come across and get pissed at me and say, hey, they priced something wrong and da 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 da. So my goal is to go and use properties that are actually off the market or they Aspire, and run numbers on them. So these are real properties, and we're going to run the numbers on them. Now, someone can be in the past and be like, well, this was a good deal, da da da, but that's not my goal, right? My goal is not to piss anyone off. So the beauty of the Aspire Beast Council calculator is you just don't enter in numbers. It tells a story. And I think that's where people don't understand when they're running numbers, that it's just not about numbers. One of the things I like telling people is that if you look at a Excel spreadsheet and you look at the numbers that you have to input in, each one of those numbers are people, right? The rental, well, those are people, right? That's giving you rental income. Even the taxes, that's an IRS person, right? Even though we might just say it's the government, but that's an IRS person that needs to collect and things of that nature. Landscaping, that's a person. Even a water bill, like someone has to come out and look at your water, right? Energy, well, someone works at the energy company, right? Even the companies, right? Eventually they hire people. So each one of these things are people. And I try to humanize that. We're not all landlords are not these conglomerate companies that just look at numbers, right? Where most people are mom and pop landlords, and those are the individuals that we're trying to focus on. So the property that I am going to be doing today, I'm going to put the MLS. I already kind of ran the MLS. So I'm going to get the address, and then it's an Aspire property, but then I'm going to put the MLS thing on there as well. So typically you'll press this. It's going to go over and just, bring up what it's going to initially ask for. So it's going to say, give me this information for A. So it's property address, property type, beds, baths, square footage, year, lot size, and all those good things. Well, because I am an agent, I have access to the MLS. So I'm just going to enter the MLS in here. So it's going to recognize this is an off-market property because it's no longer on a property. So we're going to do that. So as you can see, it's just implementing all this stuff like ChatGPT, AI is taking over. So you might as well take advantage of it and use it. So it's implementing all this stuff, and it's taking these things into consideration. And it's breaking down all the stuff. based on that. Like I said, it's kind of telling a story, right? It's saying it's a standard workforce duplex asset in a rental heavy market. The property is operational viable but under improvement. Um, so like I remember I went to this property like it was completely gutted and it needed to be gutted. So I'm gonna go in here and eventually tell it that it needs a full rehab. So um, I'm gonna put unknown. Move to P. So while that's running, I'm gonna do some other stuff. So um, sorry, doing some other stuff over here. Uh, so because it didn't have that, I put unknown because I didn't really want to know. I could check the taxes on there and do that, but sometimes we don't know that. So I'm kind of just going based off of that. So target purchase price, earnest money deposit, closing costs, holding period, holding costs, whether cash or finance, if finance down payment. So I'm gonna tell it certain things. I'm gonna go through this. So target price will be MAO based off the information that we find out. So that is unknown right now. Earnest money deposit is going to be 1% of MAO. Closing cost is going to be 3%. This is going to be possibly a fix and hold. So we're going to probably burr this. So I'm assuming we're going to hold it for 4 months or 3 months to fix it up. This is going to be financed with a hard money, which is going to cost 4 points to start. 14% is the interest rate on it, and that would deal with the holding costs as well. And then we're going to burr into a DSCR loan where the interest rate will be about 8%. And down payment, again, is the 4 points. No seller credits or concessions. So again, this is kind of why I like doing AI and ChatGPT, and why I created this calculator is that I can talk to it and I don't have to punch in all the numbers, and some things, it might be hard to explain and figuring things out. So I'm just gonna hit enter and then we're gonna move forward with that. So it's going through it estimated per rent. So I am going to pull some of that information and put that in there later because I know it's a 2 bedroom. So I'm going to put in that rental income later so that it can give us a better result of it. But roughly what is estimating is, underwriting around there. I think that's a little bit low. Um, so yeah. Please estimate a full gut rehab. I think it need all major updates: roof, HVAC, plumbing, and electrical. And we want retail grade um, for rentals. Doesn't have to be top notch, but good enough to get good rents in the area. So I gave it that information. Uh, so now it is going to come to rehab costs. It is averaging between $70 and $90. Square footage It's 2,200 square footage. So rehab might be between 150,000 to 200. Sounds roughly right because roof 10, HVAC, plumbing, electrical, kitchen, flooring, trimming, and windows. That's why I love this thing. It just makes it so much easier. Chef's kiss. They're going to underwrite around 180. I think that's a good amount. And then why is fine age 1890, full gut introduced hidden risk. So it's going to probability of 15 to 25%. Budget comparison is 150 would require unverified optimism. Duplex rehabs carry coordination and timeline risk. So now we got R. So we got revenue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull. So I'm going to pull the renter meter data. Give me 1 second here. I'm trying to pull it up. 1240, not 43rd. All right. So I'm going to move over to rental report. So it has some revenue. Then I'm going to tell it, please use document for R and then move to E and wait for more information. So what I ran is I ran rental meter. Roughly is going to tell you average rent around there was 1183. I think that's a little bit low. They say median rent is 1200. I actually know someone over there. I sold her a duplex to a client of mine that lives over there, and I believe they can probably get around 1300. I know some midterm rentals and short-term rentals are probably getting like $1,900, $2,000 in that area. So I think this is a little bit low, but we're just going to go off of this right now. And then it's going to give us an average where I think 1,200 is correct. And a matter of fact, they're getting 13 because it's a 3-bedroom. So this is about right. I feel 1,200 is probably a good number for this area. So then the beauty of this, man, it breaks down vacancy. It's putting it at 8%. I would say you can put a vacancy between 5%. 8% is a good conservative number. They put the taxes. I believe taxes probably will go up, but that's a good number. Insurance, assume that's probably low. I think I've been seeing things between 15 and 1,800. Maintenance, again, 8%. It's probably a good number. Management, 10%. That's typically what you're going to charge. So total expenses is 9,000. Net operating income is 17,000 for this property. So based on that right now, using conservative cap rates is giving you, and I, again, love these things, is giving cap rates. So it should be worth 215, 229, or 246. ARV range is 220 to 245. Underwrite at 230. So the exit strategy. So now what I'm going to do is I use another thing called RPR RPR, which is another thing that real estate agents and brokers have access to. I'm going to pull a report that I'm going to use to help me with the ARV standpoint of it, which is going to give me another just like finalizing, making sure that the strategy that we're trying to use is correct. And so, which you need, right? Because the beauty of it, and I probably should, obviously I'm going through it. So the exit strategy, it goes through 5 different exit strategies. So it's buy and hold, BRRRR method, buy, rehab, refinance, repeat. Well, yeah, buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat, fix and flip, seller creative financing, and wholesaling. So it goes through those 5 exit strategies. So obviously I told them what I want to try to accomplish. So it's already assuming that we're going to buy and hold this. I mean, we're going to BRRRR it because of what we need to do, and obviously that's the goal. So, like I said, the primary strategy is BRRRR, flip, hold, wholesale. We already kind of eliminated seller financing, but who knows, right? This actually expired, so this might be a possibility for that. So, run E with this document. Excuse me. What are we doing with time here? Doing good. I'm really good. All right. So medium sold price. So that's really low, right? Market days. I think I'm gonna use possibly use something else. Because I think that's a really low number. Again, this is why you do this, right? Because I know there was again, I know I sold a duplex in that area, but it was a 3-bedroom, 1 bath, east side. It went for like 300. So like there's some things that recently have been bought and sold in that area. That one was a couple years ago. So like, yeah, see, I've seen one for 300,000 already. So what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna run this CMA over here, and then I'm just gonna add it, but it's gonna give us the results, right? So the market does not support aggressive appreciation assumptions. Realistic stabilization is compressed towards 200 and 230. I think that's wrong, but again, it's just going off the information I'm giving it and what the information is pulling. And it might not be pulling the necessary information from all the places. So this is why the more information you give it, the better it's going to produce answers for you. So right now it's saying buy and hold is the strongest thing you can do. BRRRR is conditional. It just really depends on where we're buying it at. Flip is weak. Obviously, because of where we need to buy it at again. Wholesaling is a possibility, right? Because it's off the market, but unlikely depending on where you need to get it. And creative finance is unjustified. So the council is ranking each exit strategy because one of the most important things a investor can do when it's buying something is knowing how you're going to exit. Even if you say, I'm going to buy and hold this for the rest of my life, you're going to be doing other things. You're going to refinance. You're going to be doing certain things. So you need to understand that, right? Well, when you're going to be refinancing, where are you going to be doing certain things so that you can understand that, right? Because if you just put your money in there and let it sit, you're being a bad investor. I'm sorry. That's just who I am. That's how I run my business. If you're just buying and keeping that in there, inflation is just eating that equity away, right? But different people have different strokes, right? Different strategies and things of that nature. I'm more a little bit more aggressive because life is short, and you should go after the things that you're trying to accomplish. And having equity sit is a detriment. So I'm gonna tell it to rerun E with this new CMA. So I'm gonna let this load up. Please rerun E with this CMA to adjust the ARV based on recent solds in the area. Please adjust depending on bedrooms and square footage. Thinking. So I'm gonna run it now before it moves forward. It's taking the CMA, and hopefully it's going to adjust because, like I said, I saw something sell for $299 in the area, 265, 265, 247. So in the 299 one was a 2-bedroom, 1 bath. So obviously this is a 2-bedroom, 1 bath, and so if we update it, this should make an adjustment to it, and it was very close. There was another one that was a 3-bedroom, 2 bath, and then 1 and 1, and that sold for 265. So it's rerunning it. It's bringing up some comparables, right? that was recently in the area. So these are some of the ones that it brought up. And so it's bringing it up. So like these are the ones that I was telling you, right? 299, 264, 269. There is some active listings in the area that's going for 230, which right now that has been an accepted offer. So we know that is 230 is the baseline, and it initially said that wasn't, that wasn't a good amount. So I mean that was like the top of it. So if something just got sold for 230. So now it's adjusting, applies to this, which is saying 235. So it moved it up, right? So again, this is the point of running an analysis, right? Making sure you put the right information in there, making sure you put different information in there so that you are not just assuming whatever this is giving you, right? Sometimes, like I said, it's a conversation, it's telling a story. And maybe but it's a real life story where you can say, hey, wait a minute, I think part of that story is wrong based off this information. And it's not stagnant. So again, running numbers is a story, right? Your life is a story, and investing is a story, right? Nothing stagnant. The numbers are a story, right? It's telling you something. It's like, hey, based on these numbers, I think this is the result you're going to get in the future. And you might be like, well, I think that result could be different if we do such and such, right? So it's reevaluating the exit strategy. Still think buy and hold is the best one, which is kind of leaving things in there. Buy and hold doesn't mean you can't refinance. It's just saying initially we're just going to go in there and do this based on what we're trying to do. BRRRR, again, stabilized value is at 240, 75 DSCR refinance. That means we're not going to be able to pull everything out. So if you're doing a hard money and you need all that money, you might have to be coming to the closing table with some cash to refinance into the new one, right? So this might be, do you have the cash to pay this stuff off, right? So again, at 240, it improves, but not enough to execute. So the flip is still an option. So please provide full ruling for this investment opportunity. So now the beauty of this, it breaks it down. And one of the things that I love about Aspire Mastermind is that we try to keep you moving forward. So part of what the Aspire Beast Council does is that it gives you information, but at the end, it gives you 5 to 7 things you can keep doing, even if it's a bad deal, right? It tells you some of the things that you can do to still make this a deal, right? So full deal model, conservative, ARV is 240. Again, that's low because it could be 260 based off what we're doing. So 180 rehab, finance carrying, it's telling you all that. So 6%, 7 months is 13,000. Closing costs is 7,000 as well. So basically, you need about 20,000 to close on this deal, not including the other loan. So we gotta figure out how much we're gonna charge, right? Target minimum, flip base, 12% margin of 240. So required profit is 28,000. So love that. Woo! Maximum offer is 11,000. And I can tell you right now that property was originally on the market for 149,000. And it was on the market for 111 days, and it expired. Now you can kind of know why, right? It was currently listed at 159.5. I think before they got off the market, it was 149. Well, that's part of the reason, right? For it to justify me buying that property and doing the work. So creative finance is probably the only way this thing would work. But even that be a huge disconnect from what they were trying to do and what you would need to do and how much money you need to put in there. And again, I might be over conservative. I'm not a general contractor, right? So I'm going to be paying someone to do their work. Maybe a general contractor will say, hey, I can get that done for 60,000. Kudos to you, right? And now that changes completely for you, right? So they're saying 360 is the total basis if you bought it at what they're saying, what the rehab is plus financing costs. So there's no refinancing out of that deal. So you literally have all of your money trapped in there. So you have all of your 180,000 trapped in there. And so again, this is where having understanding of an investor buying a property and a homeowner buying a property. Those are two entirely different individuals. And sometimes that is the problem that you have when you're dealing with certain agents, right? And again, this is not me a knock on them, but they're trying to solve two different problems, right? When someone is an investor trying to buy a property, they're looking at the numbers. They don't care that a duplex down the street sold for 160 that's in the same condition or is in a little bit better condition because their rent, they already got renters in there, right? Now you can't put this duplex on the market and say, well, this duplex has the same square footage. You can rent it out for 1,200 like they are. So therefore, property is worth 100. No, like I have to do something to that property to get that result. And your seller doesn't get to eat into my profit because they see something else sold recently at that number and they think that they should be able to get that number. That's not how this works, right? We do things based off numbers. And this is where you can kind of say an investor might be cold-hearted, right? Because the numbers don't make sense. So I'm not going to move forward with it, right? And so this is one of the things that I do is I teach other agents how to run numbers so that they can be better at working with investors and things of that nature, because it's an entirely different business, right? I only work with investors because I like having these conversations, right? It's for me, it's easier to go talk to an investor client about a property when all we're kind of looking at the numbers and the things around it. To me, it's harder for me to sell a family a home that they're going to raise their kids in, right? I can rent it. I'm good at that. But like selling someone their home that, they want to, sometimes it's hard for me to justify, a price for something. But when someone's saying, hey, I got to live in that neighborhood and I'm willing to pay 40,000 over that, the other purchase price because I really want to live in this house. I really want to live in this neighborhood. It's hard for me to empathize with that. So like, I'm not the best agent for that. But if someone comes to me and say, hey, Charles, what do I need to do to this kitchen so I can raise the rent? I can answer those questions. I can let them know, hey, rents in this area is about $1,500. If you update this kitchen in the bathroom, I believe this property can get you around $1,300 to $1,400, right? Those are the conversations I can have. And this calculator helps you have those conversations, right? So it's still going through the DSCR reality is 17,000, debt is 14,000. It barely makes it. Most DSCRs want 1.2. This is 1.19. So it's right there, but you typically want to be over that. So again, the council verdict is sand. So it's either going to give you rock or sand. Rock is you're building on solid ground. Sand, you're building on, shaky ground, right? So the deal requires a purchase price that is structurally impossible based on where it is right now. The full gut rehab destroys it. Maybe it doesn't need a full gut. Maybe you can go in there and say, hey, let's get this down to 100,000. Maybe it doesn't need updated electrical or updated plumbing and things of that nature. Maybe the roof you can get another 5 to 10 years out of it, right? So the council scores things based off the information and different parameters that we put in there. There's 5 different parameters that the council base things off of, and each of them are weighted differently based on the information that you give it. So again, this is what it supports: is strong rental demand, solid duplex, rent comps are credible. What it flags is the rehab cost versus value. No margin for error, finance drag too heavy, seller distress advantage. I think there is a seller distress advantage, but again, it could have read that wrong. There was not too much information on there from that that the seller needs to sell and things of that nature. So then it requires improve approval, right? So for you to get approval, change the strategy. Does it really need a full gut, right? That's kind of, can we do a different financing structure? And then the council kill switch is activated. It basically So this is the difference between other calculators. This is not um, this is conservative. This is for to help you avoid losing money, right? This is to help you to get support on the decision you need to make, right? Because at the end of the day, this is just another funnel, right? This is a funnel to help you move forward or not move forward. So salvage paths, right? So this is again how it kind of helps you, like, hey, if you can salvage, do one of these three things or do all three of these things, this is how you can make this deal still work. Aspire goal, acquire at a less than 100,000 or reduce rehab below 80,000, right? That's what you kind of need to do. But again, this is what I love about the Aspire Beast Council is that it gives you 5 things you can do to move forward. It's a terminate pursuit and currently at current pricing immediately. So if you can't do anything, then just walk away. Rewrite it with light rehab scenario only. Seek seller distress or off-market leverage before re-engaging. Do not pursue with full gut under hard money terms. Identify comparable duplexes with 120, 180 in all targets, right? So it's still giving you things you can do. And this is a way of just not letting you sit there, right? If you like, hey, I really want to see how this deal works, right? It's not going to let you just go and say, hey, go buy it as is and do the rehab. If you really want to make this deal work, like, okay, here's some of the ways you can go through this to try to make this deal work. And then I also love it because it takes into the consideration of what I built this for was now it gives you an assignment, right? Go find us another duplex where deal works before financing, not one that hopes financing will save it, right? It kind of gives you some, I don't want to say motivation, but it kind of gives you some encouraging thoughts on what you can do moving forward and getting and finding another deal. So I love this thing that I put together, this calculator, because it has really just changed how I run my business. I've shared this with my clients. I'll have my clients use this calculator to speed up our process so that we can do more deals, we can write more offers. So here's the one cool thing before I go away. Write a email to the seller showing our results and why we need to offer it at a lower level. Break down what we were trying to do in our deal so that they just don't assume that we're just offering a low ball offer. Make this detailed and concise. Don't get too wordy, but provide it in a summary of how we can still make a deal happen and let them know what next steps will be if they want to make a deal happen. This is what I love about this is that within this now I can literally take this information I had and have it produce an email for me so that I can immediately send it out to my my client. Like if my client gave me something to run for them, I can curate this email. If I'm trying to do more deals, like if this is an off-market deal, it'll give me a script. If I ask for a script, it give me an email that I can send. But then look, it breaks it down. It takes all the information we had. So like, again, this is a story, guys. This is a story that we were doing. And now we put the story on paper. And now we can explain to that seller or that listing agent, hey, these are the things that I need to do to make this deal happen. Like I'm not lowballing you just to lowball you. I'm lowballing you because I ran the numbers and this is the results that I've gotten. And this is what I need to do to it. So again, amazing tool. Obviously, I wouldn't have been able to do this without ChatGPT and the things that they have working on the background AI. But this is something that I really proud of what we can offer from a business standpoint, from my business and from Aspire Mastermind Meetup. So, with that being said, again, every Tuesday. 12 o'clock, we run these deals so that people on your lunch, right? You're an aspiring investor. You don't really want to leave your job. You love your job, but you know you need to invest in real estate. This is part of why I do this because most of my clients are working individuals that enjoy what they do, but they know they need to invest in real estate. I tell people the 5 pillars of being wealthy is you got to invest in stocks, bonds, real estate, local businesses, and entrepreneurs. And then if you do the reverse, right, you're an entrepreneur. You need to invest in yourself with education, getting better, or learning your skills. You'll turn that into a local business, right? And that local business eventually will need to acquire real estate, might need to rent out office space or buy a building, which you're trying to do as an entrepreneur, right? Buying a duplex, that's business, right? And that's a local business. So you can wrap that up in three and just buy one duplex, right? And then, I would say stocks should be the next one, right? Eventually you can turn your local business because of all that and stocks. And then, the big businesses, they sell bonds and things of that nature. But you need to invest in all those things to become wealthy, because all those things protect each other, and all those things help grow your money, right? It keeps growing it and growing it, because if you're investing in entrepreneurs, those entrepreneurs build the next, big thing, right? And so in real estate is an important part of that. It's a strategy. I know I tell people always invest in real estate because that's the area I'm in, but I know that you need to put your money in other places, right? I try to work with financial advisors because maybe someone all had their money in stocks. Well, they need to have some of that in real estate, right? We help each other. I help their portfolio, by taking some of their money and putting it in real estate. And then some of my real estate investors who have all their money in real estate needs to take some of those cash flow and put it in stocks so they can offset it. So those are important things you need to do to build that wealth. Again, just to kind of go over, obviously we want you to be a part of the Aspire Mastermind group. The first level is $29 a month. That helps you get you started. And then you can, and that's the baseline, get you in a group, get you in discussions. The mastermind we meet again once a month, second Wednesday at our Next Home My Way headquarters, 5151 South Howell Avenue. Again, coming up in a week from this Wednesday is our meeting for April. And then we have Aspire Premium. That's $147 a month. You can pay the whole year up front, but if you just want to do a monthly, you can do that. And then $395 is our VIP, $4,999 if you want to pay the whole year. Again, these are how you can be a part of the group. First meeting is free, so if you want, you can reach out. You can find the Facebook meetup group and sign up there and get part of that. And then you can reach out to any one of our administrator of our leaders, Nathan, Devin, Seth, Ryan Jones, and me. Thank you again for showing up and being a part of this. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions or you want to see how I can assist you. Again, we have the 90-day program. And then I also have my RTS execution lab where I personally work with you to help you get from 0 to 100 in 90 days and get your first investment property under your belt. Or if you are trying to switch your strategy, right? You've been buying duplexes and single families, and now you want to buy small family apartment buildings, I can help you with that transition of that strategy. But again, Charles Clark, your real estate investment broker. Beleza.